Alright, today I'm going to go over the basics of Yabai and how I use it. It's a tiling window management utility for Mac. It basically resizes your windows for you and does a lot of other cool stuff. I'm going to go over how I use it mainly, but you can check the wiki out if you want to learn more about it. Alright, as I said, it's a tiling window manager for Mac OS. So what and why? What is Yabai? Blah blah blah. It basically does a lot of stuff. It resizes your windows for you automatically. It splits applications like this. If I were to bring another application over, it would split it evenly. It can dynamically resize applications like so. You can add as many applications as you want. Yabai will split them in a smart way. You can move them around. And if I were to move this application away, it would split the other two evenly again. Move this one, resizes full screen. Why use Yabai? Because resizing windows sucks. And what can it do? You can check the wiki here, and you can check the man pages, which are basically documentation for terminal-based tools. So if you open a terminal and type man and then the tool name, you'll get all the options and definitions and the commands, all kinds of stuff. Pretty much everything you'd need to know is in the man pages if you know how to read them. But let's go over how I use it. So I have 3 monitors. You can use one monitor if that's all you have. I just find it more efficient to use multiple monitors and multiple spaces. And then Yabai will manage those spaces and monitors and keep all my applications split properly. And then I have many shortcuts set up that trigger Yabai to do certain things. Did you buy a new keyboard? Nope, same one. So let me first go over a demo of this middle screen here. I actually have 3 monitors hooked up, one on the left, one on the right. This is the center screen that you see. So let me show you a few things. So again, as you saw previously, Yabai will automatically resize windows depending on how many applications you have on a screen. So you can dynamically resize this application VS Code here, and it'll pull Notion over. And Yabai wants to keep all your apps using the entire screen. So if you try to actually shrink an application down, it will not allow that because that would be dumb. If you want to make use of some more space up here, you would just drag another application over. And you see it didn't split how I wanted it. So there's like hotspots, I guess you could call them, on each application, top, bottom, left, right. So if I drag this app towards the top of this Notion app, it'll split top to bottom, and I can just resize like so, and dynamically resize again. Pretty cool. If I remove one, it's going to resize and fit that empty space. Yabai really does a ton of stuff that I can't really go over all of it. So if you just go to their GitHub page here, and you can go to their wiki, you will see here on the right hand side all the commands and tips and tricks, etc. that you can read to figure out more about it. I also integrate a couple other tools with Yabai, which is SKHD, which is made by the same guy who created Yabai, and Limelight, which is also made by the same guy. So Limelight is what's giving me this green outline of my active application, and SKHD is how I set up shortcuts to trigger Yabai. So let's get back to my notes. All right, before we go through the how to install, let me show you a quick demo of how I have it set up. First, we'll do it on this single monitor, this middle one. So we have Notion pulled up here with VS Code next to it. I've set up all my shortcuts that I use regularly through SKHD, that other tool. So here's how I use it. So you can see the green outline around the active application here. I've set up my hyperkey, which if you don't know what a hyperkey is, you need to look at my other video using carabiner elements and find the section where you set up a hyperkey so you can set up shortcuts with the caps lock. That's how I did it. Anyways, caps lock and these keys right here control Yabai for the most part, and F as well. So I've set up caps lock F to be full screen with Yabai, and then caps lock I and O will go between applications. So if I wanted to full screen Notion, I would move over to it and then full screen it, unfull screen it. You can see the shortcut commands on the left hand side of the screen at the bottom. Anyways, this is really quick to full screen an application. What else? Spaces. You'll see I have multiple spaces, 3 and 4 on this middle screen. So you'll see I'm on desktop 4 right now. I want to go to 3. I'm going to hit hyper and then 2. So 2 will go between 3 and 4. That's how I have mine set up. I can also tell Yabai to grab VS Code and throw it to the next space, which is pretty cool. So now if I switch back to the space 3, I think, there's my VS Code. And I can, switch between these. You can also tell Yabai not to full screen or change the screen size of certain applications, because I wouldn't want like this application to be split. I'd rather it be on top along with Spotify. I've also set up rotate, so Hyper R is gonna rotate. Also, I have a shortcut to move windows like left or right of another window. So if I want to do that, I'll hit my Hyper key and this button. I can actually move them to different monitors with this key. You don't really see the other monitor, but I did move it. I can move it back to this monitor, full screen, move it to the next space. There's also a really cool tool called Stack Line. Yabai just introduced stacks, so you can stack applications on top of each other. And if you use this other third-party GitHub tool, I guess, you can stack applications on top of each other. So let's move this back to the original space and say I want to stack these two. I'll do my stack shortcut. You'll see, I have two applications on top of each other, and to go through those, I set up a shortcut, enter, and they actually are on top of each other, which is pretty cool. And then I can unstack them. Yeah, you can do a lot of things. So, all right, let's take a look at my 3 monitor setup real quick. So this is my usual setup. I have monitor 1, 2, and 3, which is probably too small for you to see clearly, but on each monitor I have 2 spaces, desktop 1 and 2 on 1, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. So first off, I focus applications with Hyper and INO. So I can move focus and it actually wraps around to the next monitor. So if I keep going right, it'll go back to monitor 1 once I hit monitor 3, and then I can go back the other way. So let's switch monitor 2 to its next space. Okay, let's say I want to move Brave to the next space on this monitor 2. I just run my shortcut that I know and you don't know, and you'll see they're together here. If I want to full screen Notion, awesome, I can work on that. If I want to unfull screen and then go over to Brave, I can do that. Maybe I want to move Brave to my monitor to the right. I can do that with a shortcut. Great, now it's split over here on the furthest right monitor, monitor 3. If I want to close the App Store, I have Hyper backspace that'll close an application using Yabai. Let's wrap around back to monitor 1, move this application to the middle monitor, full screen it, unfull screen it, move it back. Each monitor has 2 spaces, so basically I have 6 monitors, it feels like. So if I were to move Notion, this application we're in now, in the middle screen, to the right monitor and then keep going right, it would wrap around to monitor 1, so I can demo that real quick. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, let's go back to a single monitor view. All right, now we move on to the install process. You have to decide if you want to keep SIP enabled or disabled. If you disable system integrity protection, is that what it's called? One sec. System integrity protection, yes. Read about this if you're okay with disabling it. I'm going to show you how to install Yabai with that enabled without disabling it. You will have less features, but your Mac will be more secure. So we're gonna go this path. Some of the things you miss out on are listed here. The things I cared about the most were focusing a space without animation, but I found a workaround which made it bearable. So whenever I switch spaces, it's pretty quick, but if you were to use Yabai's implementation with system integrity protection disabled, the animation would be like instant. You can see it's pretty close to instant, so I don't need that. I didn't care about this, didn't care, don't care. This one I thought would be useful, where you could keep a window on top of other windows, but I found that annoying, so I didn't need that. Don't care about picture in picture. This one was really important. So this green outline, which is called Limelight, is actually built into Yabai, but you have to have system integrity protection disabled for this to work, for it to be able to draw outline around active applications. But the developer who created Yabai released an old version of Limelight that doesn't require that, so you can run it separately. So I no longer needed that. It is a little bit laggy, I guess, but I don't really drag windows that much, so I don't care. If you were to use Yabai with system integrity protection disabled, this green bar would be more natively coded and more efficient, but it works well enough for me, so I don't really care. So I didn't need any of this, and that's why I decided to go with keeping SIP enabled. So So let's go through that process real quick here. Okay, step one, let's install Yabai and other tools with Homebrew. If you don't know what Homebrew is, check out my previous videos. I'll link it in the description. All right, so step one, we're gonna install Yabai via Homebrew. So you'll do brew install and then this, which is basically Yabai. This will install Yabai, and then next step we'll install JQ, which is a little library to deal with processing JSON. This will help you if you need to write scripts against Yabai, because Yabai gives you back JSON formatted information about which applications and monitors and all kinds of stuff. But you'll need JQ for writing scripts to set up to shortcuts, more advanced stuff. You may not need this, but I needed it. And then we'll do brew install SKHD, which is the other application by the same guy that'll let you set up shortcuts to trigger Yabai commands. You can use other shortcut creation software, but I found SKHD is really lightweight and fast, so I recommend it. Okay, and since we're doing SIP enabled, so we can have more secure but less features, we're gonna have to install Limelight separately, like the old version. You need to clone or download the repository and then make it. So if you don't know how to do that, you just download it. So I downloaded Limelight here, and then it's got a make file here. So what you need to do is open a terminal from here. Okay, I'm in that directory right here. So all you do is type make, and then hopefully everything will go fine, or you'll need to install those Xcode tools. And then once it's made, you have a bin directory here. And then there's Limelight, that's the tool or application we care about. And then you just run this command here, and this path needs to be the path to here. So mine is in Limelight, bin, Limelight, and then it will link to your user local bin directory. So post install, let's create and set up configuration files. So each of these tools have their own configuration file, and Yabai's configuration file, where do you put it? Well, according to their documentation, it looks at these three directories. I keep mine here actually. My home directory, then .config folder. That's where I keep all my configuration. Anyways, if you want to follow me, just go to your home directory, create a .config folder, and then a Yabai folder inside that, and then create a file called Yabai RC. As you can see in mine, we're in my home directory, .config folder, Yabai, and then I have a Yabai RC file. And if I open that, this is my Yabai RC file, which doesn't make sense to you right now, but just make sure you have at least an empty file called Yabai RC at this location. Okay, how to make the config file. I do it from the terminal. So the way you do that is you open a terminal, you navigate to the directory where you want to create that file. Okay, I already have one, Yabai RC. If I do an LSLA, you'll see my Yabai RC file has read, write, and execute privileges. You will need execute, as far as I know, to get this to work properly. So to get execute privileges, you follow these commands here. First, you would either create the file manually or create it through the terminal with touch. You don't have to do this, but this part is required. As long as you're in the right folder, you just do chmod, and then plus we're gonna add execute privileges to Yabai RC. Hit enter, and then if you do an LSLA, you'll see that X, hopefully. Then you should be good to go. Okay, let's move on. Next up, put some stuff into your configuration file. I have my personal configuration here, and this is the example config that you can check out at this link from the dude who created Yabai. I included my personal configuration file, which is much larger and does a lot more. So maybe you can start with that. I'm not sure, whatever you want to do. I don't care, whatever. Yeah, none of this probably makes sense until you read the wiki and kind of see what each of these commands does, but this just names some spaces. These rules, basically all of these rules are going to disable Yabai for certain applications, and it uses regex or regex to ignore, for example, Spotify. I'm going to say, hey, manage off for Yabai for Spotify. So if I open up Spotify, it's not going to resize it or manage it. Anyways, that's what this section does. If we go down a little more, oh, here's your padding. So if the space between these two windows can be expanded to as much as you want, and it kind of looks cool, but I like to take advantage of all the real estate on my screen and not really put any spaces on the left or right, top or bottom. This is going to be required for Limelight to work, for the green outline. So each time the configuration file loads, which it loads when Yabai starts, which should be automatic, Homebrew will handle that. It's going to kill Limelight and then start Limelight with the Limelight command. And then you'll notice there'll be a green outline around your active window from then on out. You can remove this if you don't want limelight, but it's good to have. I like it. All right, let's move on to SKHD, the way to set up shortcuts for Yabai. Where do you put the configuration file for that? You can put it anywhere. I put mine in the config folder again, SKHD folder and SKHDRC file. Same setup. You need execute privileges for that new file you created. You can create it with this command if you want. And you need some stuff inside your configuration file. This is an example with some Yabai shortcuts set up. If you go to the example config, click on this link made by the same dude who made Yabai again. It'll go over, actually they're all commented out, but it gives you an example of sort of some good defaults, I guess. I also included my personal configuration, which is a bit messy, but just stay above this unused section, and these are the ones that I've set up or been using. It's pretty simple. You just set up some modifier keys, dash some other key, and then a colon, and then you do a command. So you could use this for more than just Yabai. For example, if I hit hyper enter, so caps lock enter, I could set that up to open application iTerm, which is pretty cool, but I already have a cooler way. Double control. See a simple one like rotate. Okay, hyper R. This rotate. That's set up like this, hyper, which means, well, watch the carabiner video if you don't know what my hyper key is. Dash R, so R. I'm gonna say, hey Yabai, rotate 90 degrees on this current space. Okay, so we've set up Yabai, we've set up SKHD, so we have window management and we have shortcuts. Now Limelight, it has its own configuration file. I put it in the same area under the config folder, create a Limelight RC, give it execution privileges. I think you have to run this. I had to. So Limelight config and then tell it where the config file is. And let's put something in that file. This is my configuration. It's got the 3 pixel green color around the active application. Cool. Okay, and then there are some additional max settings that you need to set up for Yabai to work better. So since we don't have SIP disabled, whenever you switch spaces, it's going to be like the weird slide to the side animation. You can disable that by going into System Preferences, Accessibility and Display, and make sure that Reduce Motion is selected, and it will switch your spaces like so. It's pretty cool. So let me show you the old way. All right, old way. New way, much better. Mission control settings for Yabai, you need to set these up in the mission control preferences pane. Go to mission control and make sure it looks like this. Check this box, check this box. Great. And last step we need to do is start everything and make sure they start when our computer boots. And to do that, you do it with Brew, Homebrew. It actually takes care of starting the service for you during startup. So if you go to a terminal and type brew services start Yabai, it is already started, so yay. If anything goes wrong, you can actually stop the service that way as well. STOP, stopping Yabai, Okay, so it's successfully stopped. Now if I move a window, I can resize windows. It's a bit annoying, but you know, it's back to normal. And then let's start that back up. Great. So that's how you start Yabai, and then SKHD always needs to be running as well, so your shortcuts will work. So run this command. Oh yes, a little note here. Be sure to allow any accessibility permissions that pop up during the process. So if you have anything that pops up and says it needs accessibility permissions, you must accept those. All right, so enjoy. Okay, now that we have everything set up, it should be working. You should be able to drag your windows. You should have a green outline. All right, and now down to some tips and tricks. If you're using my configuration file, you can restart Yabai with Control, Command, Alt, and R. It's gonna kill Yabai and restart it for you, which in turn will restart Limelight as well. Control, Command, Alt, R. You'll see that green bar went away, and I can move my app right now. So Yabai is restarting. It's gonna restart here in a moment. So Yabai and Limelight are back up. So this is a useful command if anything's going wonky or weird. Write scripts to do things Yabai can't do by default. If you check out my SKHD, you'll see I'm calling some files actually. So hyperu runs this script. So hyperu would move this window to the next monitor and follow the focus with it. I'm gonna go ahead and copy all of my scripts that I use for Yabai and put them in a scripts section here in Notion. And I'm sharing this Notion I guess, note with you guys in the description. So just check out the scripts section for all my scripts. You'll need to copy this, create a file, obviously update the path in SKHD with wherever you put that script. Yeah, so try out Stackline if you're interested. That's at this link here. It allows you to stack applications on top of each other and actually see like visually which applications are on top of each other with little icons. So anyways, that's basically how I installed and used Yabai daily. So I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, bye. Yabai, get it? Sorry.